So today's the day. Yeah, I already started draining the fluid, but I pulled this transmission out. So I already draining the transmission fluid, as you can see. So I have to take the Crossmember bolts off, Bellhousing bolts off, take off the dipstick, transmission lines. What else? I gotta remove the torque converter bolts and take the drive shafts off, front, rear. And what I'll do is I'll end up separating the transfer case once I get the thing down. So, alright, here we go. I drain the converter and take the starter off and this last time, but gotta remove the twin sticks. So when I pull this down, I have to take these off and get them off. Alright, cool. Twin sticks off, and there's a bolt in there you have to undo too, and I don't know if you can see that, but there's a couple of there you go, that's better. A couple of little in there. There's like the they're not called snap rings, or what are they called? Cotter pins? Not even cotter pins, but they're like kind of like pins, like the I don't know, the spring-loaded pins. I can't remember the name of them, but yeah, I gotta pull this cover off, and probably gonna have to make some modifications to that because I know the AOD sits about an inch further back, so I might have to cut into the metal here. Don't know yet, but all right, cool. Hey guys, got this thing out of there. Fucking probably a pain in the ass. It's probably the worst thing I could. I mean, I rather pull an engine out than do the transmission, but it took me probably about 3.5 hours getting out. Show you on the. Yeah, I don't do this very often. I probably do this maybe I've done this a few times, but it's not something I really enjoy doing. Yes, much rather working on the engine. But okay, so here we go. This is the Flexplate and an empty transmission cavity here. So next step is I'm gonna put that transmission up on. Classic Bronco, this C4 works perfectly fine. It's we built it with all B&M stuff, you know, Alpha Reds in it and everything. So B&M pan on it, but yeah, I was able to pull the transmission out without even having to remove the headers. So cool. All right, so that's it. So the next step I'll be showing you is me putting the thing, the AOD back in. All right, cool. Okay guys, had this thing totally torn down and out. So now it's time to start putting this thing back together. So check it out. Oh, no, I have oil leak right there. This oil leak just coming down. This engine probably has about maybe under 1,000 miles for sure. So alright, so I'm going to get the Flexplate going and the separator plate right in here. Alright, cool. Hey guys, I thought I'd show you something interesting here. This is my brand new Flexplate. This is a B&M Flexplate. Probably about, I got it on Amazon, it was $80. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out if this is if B&M just basically white labels these flex plates here. I mean, they put their own name on it, or if they make it. Well, obviously it says made in Mexico, but look at the cheap flex plate. This was like $50 on Amazon. This was like it wasn't like a name brand. So, I mean, these things look identical. I mean, the only thing the welds just look a little bit cleaner on this B&M one. Like as you look, you can see like the weld splatter, but besides that, I mean, they look identical. They're identical flex plates. So the only difference is I spent $30 extra on this one because it was called B&M, you know. So I mean, I don't know if the threads, like, yeah, it's like, dude, they just basically freaking buy the same flex plate down in Mexico, put their own name on it. charge extra money for it. So if you're wondering about B&M flex plates, that's, I mean, these are like the cheap ones, but I'm sure like the more expensive ones they build in house. But all right, cool. Quick update here, guys. Just to remind you guys, make sure you put a light layer of grease here on the pilot. That's where the torque converter is going to go. So you want to keep that up a little greased up, and these need to be torqued to 85 foot-pounds, and make sure you put a little bit of Loctite, like red Loctite. And I'm going to have to find a way to wedge something in here, so as I'm torquing it down, it's not going to spin on me. So, oh, by the way, also the separator plate is different than a C4, so you'll have to find like an AOD separator plate. I already had one because I had a different Bronco, an 85 Bronco at one point, and I'd done transmission work on that one. So I'm actually happy I kept that separator plate. So, but yeah, look at the I don't see this open up very much, and I don't do transmissions very often, so I'm only in 2 transmissions. Well, originally I had the 3-speed, then I went to the C4, and now I'm going to the AOD. So, alright, I got this whole thing torqued down. I don't know if you can see that, but I have Edelbrock E Street heads on this truck, and to me, well, when you build a truck engine, it's totally the opposite the way you would build like a race car engine. You know, you want to make power offline, down low, throttle response and torque. So the nice thing about the Edelbrock E Street heads is that they have 170cc intake runners, which are pretty tiny for 351. And also they have I have the 190 valves instead of the 202. So, you know, to build throttle response and torque down low, you need to have more port velocity. So the air needs to be moving faster, not slower. So if your ports are big and your valves are big, you're going to bog offline and you're going to have no power down low. So it's just weird. Like, you have to think the opposite of a race car engine when you're building a truck engine. So yeah, it's different. You want a small carburetor, small ports in the carburetor, or whatever you're doing, or long runs on the intake. Small intake valves and small intake runners. So, all right, cool. So I'm going to get start getting the transmission ready to put this thing in, and we're going. Sorry, cool. Yeah, I got a cold again. It's crazy. I just have getting this transmission ready, so I still have to put this little like. I'm not gonna even use this thing. I'm just gonna put that back in there. It's like an indicator thing for the I guess like the stop or the backlight switch. You know, like when you're backing up and it puts the white lights on. And I'm converting this. I'm not going to be using steel lines. I'm using braided lines. I'm going to be using 6AN. So I have to put these on. Now I'm going to have to be seriously careful because these are actually pipe threads versus NTP threads. That's all I could get for now. And yeah, because pipe threads are tapered, so they get tighter and tighter and tighter. So if you go crazy, you can split that in 2 seconds. So you've got to be careful with that. And take that tape off. And yeah, then I got this little, you can see that, but I got this on eBay. It's like about 35 bucks. It's like a flexible dipstick. It goes right in there. And in my C4 had issues clearing my headers before, you know. I'm assuming I'm going to have way worse because this transmission's wider and closer to the headers. So this thing was only 35 bucks on eBay, so I can just mount this up onto the firewall, you know, and I can flex it any way I want. So it's going to be helpful, I guess. And cool, yeah. Kind of, it's going to stick out kind of a long way. So I don't know if I like that or not. Got to be super careful, man. Because I've split things before using pipe threads. Yeah, like I said, it's tapered, so the threads they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, all right, so I'm gonna do that, and yeah, I'm not gonna, when I put this transmission back in, I'm not gonna put the transfer case on because that's way freaking awkward. Yeah, it's so because of the way the transfer case is shaped, it throws the whole thing off balance. So I'm gonna put the transmission in and then put the transfer case in. All right. I started
guess I never mentioned this, but I'm gonna use the stock converter, the one that came out of this thing. I guess it's not really. I mean, I guess I could buy it there when I wanted to, but it's not really. Money's not really an issue, I guess. But I just when I took this transmission apart, and I saw that it was so clean inside, and also when I drained this thing, the fluid was so clean that. Yeah, I guess I'd rather have a stock. I mean, I've tried many different converters in my Bronco over the years, and to me the stock one always felt the best. So stock stall, because I just felt like it hooked up. Like I didn't like having a loose converter, because it just felt like I didn't have any torque down low. So I like when they lock up like right away. You know, at least I can feel like them grabbing right away. So hopefully I don't have to take the transmission out again because the fucking converter sucks. But we'll see. But alright, so I'm gonna fill this with a quart of fluid before I put this in there, and get this on my transmission jack, and gotta get on and put it up there. So I also got 6 new around here we have a place called Ace Hardware. These are grade 8 bolts, and these are gonna be for the Bellhousing bolts. And so I'll be stuck if I get this thing done or running over the weekend. I mean, today's Friday, and I have Saturday and Sunday to work on this thing, so we'll see. Alright, cool. Here it goes. Got the transmission on the transmission jack. What's crazy here is I'm going to try to put this in without having to take the headers off, but I got extra gaskets in case I have to take the headers off, but I was able to get the other one out without taking the headers off, and the Bellhousing should be around the same size. These on the out, well, pretty close, but I guess we'll see. But fuck, here we go. Guys, I haven't got the thing bolted on yet, but check that out. I was able to slide it right up. I don't know if you can even see that, but those are headers. I just fit right up without even having to take the headers off. So got the first bolt kind of lined up there, and get some of these Bellhousing bolts on. But yeah, this is. I guess I shouldn't talk shit right now, but this seemed like it was pretty basic. I mean, I've done this before, but the C4 seemed like it was harder for some reason. I don't know. This one just popped right up in spot. So I get some of those Bellhousing bolts on, and the torque converter bolts on, and then I have to get the rear crossmember on, you know, and the torque converter and all that. I mean, the transfer case, but cool. Different angle. So. Yeah, alright, cool. Hey guys, got the I don't have all the Bellhousing bolts on, but I have a couple of them on, and they're not tightened down all the way. And the reason why I do that is I spin the engine around a couple times with my up there in the front with my little big socket up there. I want to spin the engine around. I want to make sure the crankshaft or the torque converter is fully seated before I totally bolt the thing down, because once I did that, it wasn't fully seated, you know, years ago, and it freaking would bind up. So I want to make sure the thing can fully spin around. Then I'll tighten down these Bellhousing bolts all the way, just to make sure the thing is not double check this thing is seated all the way. You know, like there's 3 different gear shafts that need to be. You know, with an AOD there's 2 shafts. With this thing there's 3 shafts. So, all right. So, yeah, I'm gonna spin it around and see if it hopefully doesn't bind up. Then, if it doesn't bind up, we'll put the rest of the Bellhousing bolts on and move forward. Alright. So, got all the Bellhousing bolts on. Torque converter bolts are torqued down. That's 25 foot-pounds, by the way. 25 to 35. Yeah, spin the thing around, no binding. This is pretty credible. You know, it's probably the easiest transmission I ever put in. For some reason, the C4 seemed way more difficult, and C4 is a smaller transmission, so I mean, I was able to slide this thing right up, the Bellhousing right past these headers. I didn't have to remove the headers. So, pretty freaking crazy. Alright, so now I gotta go back and I gotta put the Crossmember on so I can get rid of this jack. But yeah, if you have the right tools, it makes this a lot easier. You know, if you didn't have the right tools, it seemed like it'd be a nightmare. But alright, so cool. Alright, yeah, so it looks like there's pretty clearance between the headers and the pan there, so yeah, I'm still kind of Guess we'll see. I guess my only concern is everybody has an issue with the clearance of the front drive shaft and this pan right here. But I'll show you more when I get to that area, when I get closer to that. All right, cool. I figure out why one of these sides is notched and the other one's not. I mean, they can only go in one way, so I'm just wondering why they. I guess I'm trying to figure out the concept of that, or why they even did that. Maybe I'll know when I get this thing on there, closer to it. The other thing I noticed too is that let me get down here real quick. Look at that. On my original Bronco, here it wasn't threaded. It just the bolt would go all the way through the crossmember into this thing, and it would bolt on the top side of it, you know, on the other side. So I guess I'll go back to my screw pack and see if that included that. So yeah, I guess I'll figure that out, but that's weird. That's different than the original, so. Alright, doing a fitment check here. So on this side, they only made provisions for 3 bolts. So normally there should be 4 bolts. So this brings, it looks like those little brackets bring it back about an inch. Alright, now I gotta figure out this threaded thing. My little pads there, and little rubber mount things are gonna go in there. Hopefully they provided some screws for that. I don't check, but hopefully I don't have to go back to the store and get some more bolts. But, alright, cool. Problem here, I think it's going to cause a clearance issue here. So, I don't know if you can see that bolt right in there is going to create a clearance issue if I get these in there straight. Yeah, there it's, look at that there. So it's going to prevent this from going all the way back. And I notice I did this wrong, but it couldn't go any other way because I tried the other way. Alright, I'll try to mess around. If the worst case scenario, I gotta do like a little notch out right here and notch out a little spot for that bolt right there to get through. But alright. It looks like this is the screw pack that came with the. Like I said, they have no instructions. Pretty much, it's freaking ridiculous. So, so it looks like these are the things that go into the pads here. Going to go into the. These 2 bolts will go into that housing. And at least I think I know what these are for now. Look at those go here. And these are going to be, I believe, studs that go into the actual. Into the what's it called? Into the here, into the transfer case here. And before there was just bolts, and I guess we're gonna do studs with this one. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what the hell was what right there. Now I know. All right, cool. Oh yeah, I gotta notch that piece of metal out. Notch this out, like probably gonna go to about right there, just to give it extra clearance. And I'm gonna use I'm gonna do a combination of I use this for head porting when I was porting heads before, and a long tip on there to clean it up, and then I'm gonna use hopefully I get my cutoff wheel in there and be able to cut that. I'm gonna primarily use my cutoff wheel and try to get that going, and then cut that out. All right, cool. We got that little notch out of there. All right, do a little paint on there just to prevent rust. Cool. Guess we'll see. Check it out. You guys can see now the notch. It's clearing the Allen bolt there. So I don't know if that looks straight or not. I mean, this is the way they designed to put it together. Because it wouldn't work if I flipped it around the other way. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Or maybe this transmission just moved over to the right a little bit. Maybe if once I get off this transmission, I can pull it to the right just a little bit. Alright. There's too tight on one side. So just as a, I'm gonna see how that side has like a you can actually there's a longer notch for movement. This side doesn't have that, and I'm trying to figure out my original. That's my old transmission there. Yeah, the same with my old. With my original one, it was the same way. I'm just looking at the original, comparing. So I'm gonna make this go out here with my little this thing. You gotta, when you use these metal things, they dude, it puts some crazy shards everywhere. But this thing cuts like this metal through like butter. So I'm gonna probably notch it like right there and go over. All right. I don't know if you guys can hear me with my air compressor, but all right. So I'm about to notch out this a little bit. You gotta be careful, man, because these shards are so sharp. Like this thing takes off like big metal, and it's like big shards, and they're so sharp. You gotta be careful of that. All right. All right, cool. Shards are everywhere. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what, dude. This is no freaking instructions, but I don't know if you can see that these are my original aftermarket pads there, and you see this the big flat washer on the top that came with it. It just seems like it's not going to make it straight just because the pad is not big enough. This washer is too big. I mean, maybe these aftermarket things are bigger than the stock. I don't know. I guess I'm assuming they are. So I'm going to take off the those washers there. See if I can get it fit there without the washers. That just doesn't seem like it's going to work without the washers. Or with the washers in there. It's not going to be straight, at least. I don't know. I mean, what other way could this possibly go? I'm going to have to wedge something in there to get that thing in there. Yeah, because I tried flipping this around to see if there's some other way it would work in there, but no, dude. Even if I were to flip these brackets around, it would bring it back instead of forward. So these brackets can only go one way to bring it back an inch back. They're not uniform. I can't flip them around. So I guess these aftermarket bushings are bigger than stock. So all right, maybe I'll try a smaller washer. All right, cool. Because I want to at least have some sort of washer in it, I think. Yeah. All right. This I think I'm done for today. Light's kind of going down here, and so I'm gonna start again tomorrow morning. I got this bolted up here and there, but I feel there's a gap right here on this last. So what I think I'm gonna do is take those washers and notch them. I couldn't get the washers in there, so I'm gonna take this back out. You know, but I guess the stock diameter must be smaller in these aftermarkets, because this one seems tight on this side. This side seems kind of, there's like a little gap there. So I'm going to notch those washers, edge off the washers, so I can clear this tail health area. It's not as big as the stock one, the stock C4 where it mounts right there is actually bigger. That's a bigger pad. So alright, so I'll do the transfer case tomorrow and starter, and once I get that going, I'm not going to hook up the drive shafts. I'm going to just get the transfer case on there, get the linkages going, TV cable set up, and then I'm going to run it without even having the drive shafts connected, just to make sure that I get some fluid in the transmission and give it a go before I take this thing for a spin. But well, that's not if it actually works. If I can know this, man. It's going to suck. I have to pull this out again. Alright. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Starter's back in, and finish up this transfer case. So, looking at the transfer case here, and I'm assuming these studs go here. But the problem is they go all the way through, so I don't know the depth. I'm going to go out and check and measure the depth. Like what depth I should actually have these at. And then I'm thinking I'm going to maybe put some, I don't know, some like thread locker. Here are the original bolts, and I'm wondering why they provided these studs. I'm gonna go out and check to see if there's some kind of clearance issue with these bolts here. But one thing, another thing I noticed is that this. Well, another thing is this. I'm trying to figure out what the point of this oiling hole is. There's a hole here. This is originally a transfer case out of a '66, so can't remember if they had some kind of oiling passage between the manual transmission and this thing right here, but the gasket doesn't fit over this little thing right here, and I'm trying to figure out if this gasket's supposed to be underneath this thing right here, or if I just should cut it. So, yeah, I don't know yet. So, like, if this gasket's supposed to be under this seal right here. Because I don't think it was like that way with the the C4 here. I think I might just have to cut the gasket. I don't know. Because here's the original C4. And I don't think there's a problem with the gasket clearance of this one, right? No, I guess it is right. I guess it does go underneath it. Alright, so I'm going to have to pop that back up and get the gasket in there. So, I guess I answered my own question. The reason why they actually give you the studs is that if you're under the like this won't get clearance. Like, it's so tight behind the advanced adapters thing in there that you can't get the bolt in there around to fit. You know what I mean, to slide into the hole. So that's why they give you the studs. And so what I measured is I need to be about 2 centimeters in. This thing should be about. I'm assuming this is going to be about 5 centimeters. So let's say there. Shitty measuring tape. So this is about 5 centimeters is the bolt. I got to be about 2 centimeters in and about 3 centimeters exposed to get clearance and get enough threading for the nut to go through. So I'm going to pull a Loctite in these things and get them in there. Got the studs in there the right depth. I'm going to hopefully speed up the process with my little shrink wrap gun here. I don't want to spend hours waiting for this thing, so hopefully this will make it go a little bit quicker. I'm going to put the gasket on, I'll pop it going and get this in there. Alright, I think we're ready to go. Yeah, I have it this way because if you guys have ever taken out looked at one of these Dana 20 transfer cases, you know there's a weird set of needle bearings in there that it's a lot easier to go this way because I'm not going to hook this up to a transmission jack. I'm going to just basically like do a bench press, or like, you know, like I'm just going to push this up with I'm going to hold it in my arms and just try to like push it up there, because it's just such an awkward shape that there's no flat surface really to mount on the jack correctly. So I usually just do it by hand. So it's kind of freaking heavy though. It's, you know, it's a cast iron thing here. But all right, so that's gonna be my next step here, is to get that going and get this up there, and then start working on linkage. All right, cool. The transfer case on there wasn't so bad. Just kind of do like a bench press, push it up. You know, having the studs in there definitely helps it. It lines it up in there pretty good. So yeah, this car at one point was a when I got the car, it was a 3-speed stick, and the guy had already converted to like a Hurst floor shifter. But the nice thing about these having this hole here is it gives me access to these really hard to get bolts here. There's another one far down there. I can't even. I haven't got the nut on there yet. It's down in there, and I'll show you. Yeah, I'm about to get my needle nose and get a wash on that. That's gonna be super hard because it's just such a tight space. But yeah, my car originally was blue, blue color, a long time ago. I've had this thing for almost 20 years now, so had it for a while. All right, cool. So I think this is gonna be the end of the video. I don't want these things to get too long, but so I'm not sure what would be easier, to basically keep the jack on there and do the Crossmember, first mount the torque or transfer case, then do the Crossmember, because there was a couple freaking bolts that were just an absolute nightmare to get. Like specifically, I don't know if you can see that, but the one up and there, I actually had to make a tool and freaking bend it so I could reach around here and freaking get it off, you know. So yeah, I think if you kept the Crossmember off, then put the transfer case, I can't talk right now. Put the transfer case on, then I think it'd be a lot easier, because these bolts are just so hard to get to. They're just, you know, they're like the nuts right there. And then I don't even know how I got my finger in there to get the nut on the thread, but it's lucked out. So cool. So that's the drivetrain. I got the, oh yeah, I forgot. Right there, so I got the starter in. That's what it looks like. AOD with the Dana 20 mounted in the Bronco. Alright, so on the next video, I'm going to be doing the linkage, TV cable, dipstick, and shift rod. So, and then there, I'm going to hook up my pressure gauge and start adjusting this TV thing here. Alright, cool.